Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to today's show. I am your host, Eric Darnley Small, and it's not quite pre-Liberation Day, but it is a day where the stock market appears to be noticing that things are not great. Things are very not great. And I think that it's important to note that and to talk a little bit about that. Today's show is going to be a little bit special, a little bit different, because I want to talk about something that I've been talking about quite a bit that I think is coming up more and more every day. And I just don't want people to forget about it. But also don't forget to like and subscribe, click the bell to be notified of new content. In addition, you want to go to my Mastodon, mastodon.vtip.me/@what-you-missed. And I'm going to talk about, at the beginning of this show, in a moment, new Mastodon stories, one that I think is quite a bit of a trip. But I'm going to begin with the market, which is what I've been doing lately, because, again, it's an indication of the success of Donald Trump or a lack thereof, as well as not where the economy is, but really where one of his Donald Trump's marquee statements is the one thing that we know that he absolutely said he was going to do on day one. And on top of the racism, the other thing that we knew that he was going to do on day one was tariffs. Donald Trump was very explicit about this and how supportive he was of the idea of tariffs. And it was something that is so important to his administration and was so contradictory to not only where the Republican Party had been for the last 40 years or so, but also where every economist who knew we were coming out of and we were going to end up with a soft landing and the economy was rocking and rolling under Biden, and that if Donald Trump had just sat back and done nothing, he would have once again, from a Democrat, been handed a booming economy, which he would then be able to take credit for. But Donald Trump was so pathological on his desire to have tariffs that he owns this. And there's been attempts by Commerce Secretary, the Treasury Secretary, to try and call this Biden's fault. But he has been so explicit and so out there with regard to the tariffs. And tariffs have been so seen so negatively by Republicans, by business leaders, by everyone for the last 60 years or so. When has Taft-Hartley happened? I mean, how long ago was that? 80 years, whatever. You know, he has been so on this whole tariff thing that he cannot shake, and the media is not willing to spin his causing of a disaster on the market. So the first is so-called Liberation Day, where massive tariffs are going to be sent all around. But today the market is already feeling it. The Dow is up as of right now. It opened down. But the S&P is down, NASDAQ is down, Russell 2000 is down, and the VIX is up. So according to CNBC, the S&P slid to its lowest level since September as stocks sell off before tariff rollout. So people are already preparing for these tariffs. Canada is in a bad way. Apparently, Asian markets are also hurting. And of course, Asian markets open up in the middle of the night for us, and they were down. And that's probably what's affecting the S&P. Also, the NASDAQ is down by a number of tech stocks that are down. CoreWeave, which is this new company that is AI based, is down 10%. They just had their IPO yesterday, and already they're down 10%. I also wanted to talk about this interesting thing with vaccines. Apparently, RFK has decided to, or has pressured this FDA official on vaccines, and that guy decided to leave, and that is causing a vaccine stocks to take a dive. Moderna, Novax, along with a range of other biotech companies, fell after resignation of a key FDA official, Peter Marks. So whatever's going on in the FDA has people scared, and biotech stocks are showing the effects of that. One of the things that is also interesting is what's going on here with Trump and Putin. He's apparently very angry and pissed off that Putin did an interview with NBC News, and It looks like he says he's pissed off, very angry when President Vladimir Putin criticized the credibility of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, adding that the comments were not going in the right direction. Interesting statement by Trump. He, of course, in the article attacks Zelensky as well. But interesting that he would make that statement. I'm wondering, I'm thinking he's thinking that Putin isn't doing his share of the groveling, I think. But I'm not sure what to make of that. The Putin-Trump thing is going to be one of the most fascinating things about this administration. A couple of, if you're an investor, it looks like investing in nuclear. We know that Donald Trump is a big fan of nuclear. Would be a good bet because the nuclear companies are leading the race to build advanced small reactors in the U.S. I have talked about, and Paul Krugman had an article, an interview actually with someone who looks at, with a famous short seller. And the IA stuff is becoming very interesting because I think some on Wall Street are getting a little bit impatient with what is going on with AI and why it hasn't taken over the country. But I suspect AI is making a big comeback, particularly for Elon Musk in the federal government. There is reporting already that he is moving Social Security and a lot of the systems that go back to COBOL, go back to the 1970s, to an old antiquated language, to his proprietary system. What that is, who knows? But one of the problems is that he's doing it where people said it would take 2 and 3 years. He's doing it with a bunch of teenagers with a staff of 20, 30 in months. And of course, it's causing the system to behave in all kind of unexpected ways, according to reporting. But AI apparently is helping with this move over, according to reports. So that's the big stories in the market. The market is going down. It's up right now. It's going down, but it is very much concerned about the tariffs. In Mastodon, a very interesting story here. The Trump administration has hired Tim Pool. Tim Pool, who was paid by Russians to spread their propaganda, is being added to the press pool, believe it or not. This is out of Crooks and Liars, which is, you'll find a lot of links to them on the Mastodon. But Tim Pool was added even as it has banned Associated Press. It added Tim Pool to travel with in Air Force One, to travel with them. Now, Tim Pool, if you want to know more and more about this guy, listen to the Majority Report with Sam Cedar. I'm sure today they're going to talk about this. He has much more of information about the right-wing influencer Tim Pool and his history. The Daily Beast, this is a story on Crooks and Liars, but it comes originally is sourced by the Daily Beast. This, to me, indicates that the administration is concerned that they're losing the narrative here, that they need this guy Tim Pool because polling is down. They must be seeing internal polling, which shows it's down, and they need to get their people to fill the vacuum, to fill the void with disinformation. Again, reciprocal tariffs will start on all countries, again, madness, and it's got people going crazy. Joy Reid's article is very interesting. Madman, the Mad King, the madman who would be king. And she experiences, as Joy Ann Reid critically examines Donald Trump's aspirations to mimic Putin authoritarian approach. I would highly recommend taking a look at this. Interesting story here is that New York, actually blue states, Wisconsin, California, and New York are looking to hire these federal workers who've been fired by the federal government, to hire them to take jobs in the state level. I think this is damn smart. I just hope that they bring in people who are vaccine experts and who are also tech experts, because these states are going to need to harden their technology, and they're going to need to prepare to to deal with the next pandemic without the federal government. So I hope that they're looking for folks like that to hire. Paul Krugman has his article about how terrible the MAGA has been for business, which should surprise no one. This is from Heather Cox Richardson. Always take a look at her. She does, I think, a daily post now. She's been absolutely fascinating. And there is one story here that is very interesting that I don't know that people are, this is Elon Musk trying to buy. This is what Elon Musk did in the election in 2024, giving out millions of dollars to people, trying to buy an election. That's going to be interesting. And I'm going to touch on that again in a minute, just to get more information on that. But one of the things that is very interesting that I don't want people to miss is this notion of Donald Trump going out and talking about a third term. Very, very important. Trying to see if I can find that article. I saw it earlier. This is from, I think, yesterday, where Donald Trump talks about a third term sort of almost jokingly. And I think he's on NBC with Kristen Welker. Probably it was on Meet the Press. I didn't see it itself. I saw that there was an article, maybe it's in the Associated Press. I think that's exactly where it is. I'm going to try and see if I can bring it up. But he is serious about this third term. Totally unconstitutional third term. And I think people who know about authoritarianism know that he's serious about it. And those who know about it, like a Timothy Schneider, the reporting is that he's leaving the U.S. for Toronto. He's going to move and teach in Toronto. That's how scared and that's how knowledgeable he is about what is coming. And I think that anybody who, unfortunately, the Democratic Party, who is not serious and is not paying attention to what it is this man is really about is doing us all a disservice, because this thing is not funny. And Donald Trump is serious about what he's talking about. And people who are trying to make excuses for Trump and trying to play down this are doing all of us a disservice. And I fear, and I think other people fear, that the media is doing some of this, like with this Kristen Welker interview, that they're playing into this whole you can't run a third term. And yet he's serious about it. Putin says he's serious about taking Greenland. So I think that Putin knows. I mean, he's a man who understands Trump. And he says, don't minimize this stuff. And Donald Trump has said, I'm serious. We may need to take the military to take Greenland. But here is the article. This is from the AP. It says Trump says he's considering ways to serve a third term as president. President Trump on Sunday said that I'm not joking about trying to serve a third term. The clearest indication that he's considering ways to breach the constitutional barrier, constitutional ban against continuing to lead the country after his second term ends at the beginning of 2029. And he's going to need colluders. He's going to need the Republican Party to join him. And the Republican Party is nothing without Trump. There are methods which you can do it, Trump said in a telephone interview, Mar-a-Lago. He elaborated later to reporters on Air Force One from Florida to Washington that, quote, I have had more people ask me to have a third term, which in a way is a fourth term, because the other election, the 2020 election, was totally rigged. Still, Trump said, I don't want to talk about a third term now because no matter how you look at it, we've got a long time to go. The 22nd Amendment added to the Constitution in 1951 after FDR was elected 4 times in a row says no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. Any attempt to remain in office would be legally suspect. And it is unclear how serious Trump might pursue the idea. It is not unclear. He is very serious about the idea. Just like people are saying it's unclear how serious he is about tariffs. No, he's serious about this. The comments nonetheless were an extraordinary reflection of the desire to remain in power by a president who had violated democratic traditions 4 years ago when he tried to overturn the election he lost to Joe Biden. Steve Bannon, a former Trump strategist who runs the right-wing War Room podcast, called for the president to run again during a speech at the Conservative Political Action conference last month. We want Trump in 28, he said. Kayla Thompson, a 30-year-old former paralegal in Wisconsin, said she would absolutely like to serve. She'd like Trump to serve a third term. America needs him. America is headed in the right direction, and if he doesn't do it, we're probably headed backwards, says Thompson, who was attending a campaign event Sunday with Elon Musk in Green Bay. Jeremy Paul, a constitutional law professor at Boston's Northeastern University, said there is no credible legal argument for him to run a third term. Kristen Welker asked Trump if one potential avenue for a third term was having Vice President J.D. Vance run in the top job, then pass the baton to you. Well, that's one, Trump responded. But there are others too. There are definitely others. Can you tell me another? No, he said. So, what to make of it? What to make of it is that Donald Trump is going to try and run a third term. Period, at the end. And anybody who's sitting back there and who's not taking this seriously and who is thinking that Donald Trump is going to be constrained by the law and by decency and belief in the constitutional order of things is delusional. And delusion is one indication that you're in a cult or you're in a con. You've been scammed. And that brings me to my main story for today, what this video is about. And the thumbnail should have reflected it. Excellent new documentary on Netflix called Con Mum. It is, if you're interested, I'm interested in usually in two things. Crime dramas, crime documentaries that either deal with, murder mysteries or con men and scams. I have said repeatedly Donald Trump is a scam artist and that this country is in a love scam. And there's a particular type of love scam. There's a particular reason why it's a love scam, as opposed to, say, Bernie Madoff type scam, which is a financial scam, right? And I'm going to go over that right now, and I'm going to talk about the similarities. But are we living a con mum? Netflix documentary about a con woman who destroys the lives of everyone she meets. Why it's eerily similar to our lives under Trump. So that's what I want to talk about today. I highly, highly, highly recommend that you take a look at this Netflix documentary. It's really well done. There are some things I could criticize about it, and I talk a little bit about it here, but it is really, immediately after watching this, again, I came back to, this is America. America is Graham. Donald Trump is the con mum standing behind him. And let me go into it. Again, I believe that Donald Trump and the Trump voter and the majority of the voters in 2024 are in a love scam. The conservative voter is the target of the scam. This is a useful way to look at the Trump years and Trump's hold over the country. Con artists have become popular over the years. From Madoff to Sorokin, we are familiar and perhaps even admire these villains. Perhaps the flaw in the 2024 election was media used words like fascist and comparisons to Hitler and Putin. But we don't intuitively understand what fascism looks like since it's foreign to us in the United States. I believe one reason why many voters could not, quote unquote, see the danger of Trump is that they did not understand the concepts the media was using. But we understand the con artist. Movies like Tinder Swindler and Inventing Anna were popular on Netflix, and we understand the love scam because of it. Netflix has helped us again with a new British documentary called Con Mum. So the story is this. Graham Hornigold has a problem. He has a hole in his heart the size of his biological mother, whom he has never met. Given all of that, he's a successful chef and has a beautiful partner. Together, they begin a family. Out of nowhere, the couple receive a message from a woman claiming to be Graham's long-lost mother. Intrigued, the couple go to meet the woman and discover she is more than they expected. Chef Graham's mom turns out to be an 85-year-old fabulously wealthy woman named Dion. Dion, it turns out, is the illegitimate daughter of the Sultan of Brunei. She is also terminally ill with cancer. For this reason, she has sought out her long-lost son in hopes of reconciling before she passes away. Dion also wants to pass her fortune down to her son and his family. Or so that's what Graham thinks. So I'm going to, again, this is the game of the story. This is kind of the scam, and it is not spoiler rich. But if you plan on seeing the documentary, you're going to want to pause here, go watch the documentary, then come back and watch the rest of this video, because we're going to get into spoiler territory. And I don't want to spoil it. I'm usually pretty good at seeing twists and turns. There were 2 twists and turns in here that I didn't see coming, which to me is the hallmark of a great documentary or a great movie or anything. But anyway, let me go over. This is the game. This is basically the plot of the movie before the turning point. So it says the movie, Dion appears to be following a standard playbook used by everyone from Anna Sorokin to Simon Leviev. And first of all, the credibility. This is one of the things that the scam artist does. One of the things that one of the reasons why people don't see it coming, particularly that the con artist is going after their money, is they appear to have so much money. Why in the world would someone want more money? They're already drowning in money and they're throwing money around. So the credibility in part is that she lives a lavish life, Dion. She eats great food. She drinks fine wine. She lives in 5-star hotels. She spends her money like it's going out of style. So that's part one of this whole thing, is that it appears as if she's got more money than she knows what to do with. The second thing is she's got multiple clients. Everyone knows her. Staff, bankers, lawyers, and people with clout know her. That adds to the credibility. She's always taking meetings, doing business, making tons of money. There's an implication that she has a business, a very successful business, not just the inheritance from the Sultan, from being the Sultan's illegitimate daughter, but she's also a businesswoman doing deals. And she goes to banks and meets with bankers and lawyers and all these other people. So again, that adds to the credibility. That adds to this look of this person appearing to be incredibly wealthy and incredibly successful. And particularly here in America, we have connected wealth and material success to moral success. And you actually hear that a lot of times in churches. I believe that this prosperity doctrine that you'll hear a lot of times in like Joel Osteen's preaching, that there is a connection between material success and wealth and morality and God blessing you. Not totally inconsistent with Christ's message, but it is a part of the zeitgeist. It is part of the norms that we believe in and that is being preached out of the pulpit. That there is a connection between material wealth, success, and morality. And the connection is also that because they're so successful, they know something, so we should trust them. Elon Musk is right now in the government, and people are believing what he has to say because he's so successful. Actually, I think you hear this guy Rogan talk about what the hell does he need to scam people for or to do damage to people? The man is a billionaire. He doesn't need it. Huh. Right. Anyway, the con artist also love bombs. She's so generous. To her son and his partner, she gifts high-end cars. To Graham's friend, she offers millions. Dion meets at least 3 other people during the documentary, throughout the documentary, looking for investment money, and she's willing to help. So now, spoilers in the next page. So again, if you if you want to go watch the movie and come back here, now's the time to do it. Eventually, everyone comes to find out Dion is not a wealthy woman at all. She's a scammer. From Graham, she steals hundreds of thousands with the promise of paying back with millions. Remember, this is a woman who's going to transfer her millions, perhaps billions, to Graham and his family. So what is a few $100,000 that she borrows from him? The expensive cars, it turns out to be on loan from the dealership. Mom only puts down the down payment and a few payments after that. Then she walks away from the loan. The investors are all taken in. And what's unclear, this is one of the things that I would critique the movie. It's unclear in the movie how she was able to get these investors who are seeking money to in turn give her money. There's an implication that there's a cultural South Asian cultural twist here that if you give money, if you get money, you have to give money, sort of thing. That's what's implied. But to me, there's something more here that the movie kind of brushes aside, and I think that it's, to some extent, it's smart that they did that, because they want to focus on the son and the mother relationship, the con that's happening there, than on these others. But this is also important to note that the love scam, the love bombing, is one of hope. They provide hope of a better life, of your dreams being made manifest. She succeeds in doing this. So by the end of the movie, they lose millions because they believe that they've invested a lot in her, because she said she would bring in money, but in the end, they lose all that money. And most tragic from this thing, and most heartbreaking, is, classic with the sociopath, is that she drives a wedge between Graham and his partner and their new son. She succeeds in doing this, and the family is irrevocably broken. Probably the most tragic thing in this whole documentary is that. And I think that in further interviews I've seen with Graham since this documentary came out, I think he acknowledges that is the worst thing. Is that, not only is this relationship with his mom, quote unquote, turn out to be not what it was, what he thought it would be, but also his partner and his child that's lost him. And this is a man who's had a bad childhood, and really has difficulty. So how do these two things connect? How am I connecting Con Mum with the U.S. and what's going on today in the U.S.? Here's my take on it, my theory. In Con Mum, the victim is emotionally troubled. I talked earlier about a wound. Graham is hurting from a traumatic childhood. He was abused by his father, and his mother left as a child. The loss of his mother is an unconscious wound that has never healed. People carry wounds all the time unconsciously, and it comes out in drinking and in abuse and abusive behavior and in toxic behavior. But there is a wound everyone carries. It's unconscious. And if one of the things that a con artist is able to do, and one of their skills, is that they're able to see wounds in people, and they immediately go for the wound because they know that that their con will fill it up. America similarly is wounded. And I believe that in America, the wound that has not been resolved is the issue over the isms. First and foremost is racism. It's unique among the others because there is resentment and bitterness attached to it, going back to Reconstruction and civil rights. The feeling that the federal government took from the true Americans, white people, and handed it to the unworthy, quote unquote, fake Americans, black people. Hence the anti-woke, anti-DEI, or the attacks on DEI. This is this notion that, and the attacks on affirmative action, this notion that the government is coming in and taking from the people who deserve it and giving it to the less deserving. That's one of the things that has motivated Cuban Americans to be conservatives, to be on the conservative right. Not only do they see themselves as white, but also they connect to this idea of the government taking from them, because that's how they feel about Castro, what happened in Castro. Socialism. That's their hate of socialism, is that the government is coming in and taking what's mine, right? They believe that everything belongs to them. They've forgotten, like Elon Musk, how much the taxpayer paid early on for PayPal and for him to Tesla and all of the deals that the government, the taxpayer, we gave to him to help him become successful. All of a sudden, it's mine. I did it. Again, going back to Conlon, Dion, his mom, reaching out to him and seeing him, right? Seeing that pain, that need, and wanting to reconnect with Graham. She can fix that hurt, so Graham thinks, that wound that he's been carrying. So Graham lets this stranger into his life and his defenses are down. Literally lets him eat. She moves in with him in the movie. Similarly, conservatives for decades have used the wound to win elections, this resentment over blacks and over the government giving away to blacks things, not realizing that the government has helped white people all the time, farmers all the time. The GI Bill, blacks were not able to get access to the GI Bill, white people were. And it goes on and on and on. But conservatives for decades have used that wound to win elections, right? Look at Stuart Stevens' book. Look at what Rick Wilson did and what he has admitted doing over the years. They have used the idea of the government is coming for you. They're taking your stuff and giving it to those people as a wound that is still there, that has historic roots. They use that wound in their advertising and their messaging to win elections, right? You hear them talk today about, well, we always thought those folks were in the backgrounds. We knew they were there, but they were on the, yeah, but come election time, they actively courted them. They actively went out there and used ads, like the Willie Horton ad famously, the Southern Strategy. They went out there and actively courted these people, manipulating them and using that wound to get them out to vote for Republicans. And then come the general, then all of a sudden, well, we're those people are on the fringe. So Trump used it to imply that Obama was not a citizen. He gave a speech saying that brown immigrants are being sent here. They're bringing drugs and they're gangsters. This leads to a feeling that we're being invaded. The white nationalist is concerned about the blood of the country being poisoned by foreigners. But Trump sees this wound. He sees them. And he says he will fix it on day one, right? That's the con. I see you. I see what you're saying. And I'm going to fix it. I'm going to fix your problem with these immigrants and with the DEI wokeism. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to dismantle it. That's the con. Moving on, now Dion has gotten into his world. She can now go after him financially through love bombing, meals and fine wines, manipulation. She has cancer. She claims she could die any day. You've got to stay with me. I could die at any moment. And the promise of millions. After her death, Graham would inherit her fortune. There's a scene in the movie where they go off to Switzerland to get this movie, separating him from his wife, let's remember. Right? That's what the scammer, that's what the sociopath wants to do. Got to separate that person from their loved ones. And immediately, as soon as they get there, the money never comes. But she's constantly threatening to commit suicide. She's constantly telling Graham, you can't leave me, I'm going to die. Manipulation. For the U.S., the scam continues, right? First emotionally, then financially. Trump voters are promised lower grocery prices. Remember that? On day one, and tariffs that will solve everything. Now that he's in the White House, now that he's in their home, the answer to high egg prices is for voters to buy chickens. Instead of the Fed talking about a soft landing and rate cuts, they're now talking recession and stagflation. Meanwhile, Trump is promising Visa cards to immigrants who pay $5 million. He and Musk and his family are getting sweetheart deals and government contracts. Musk alone stands to make billions on the car tariffs. And Trump is pushing his tax cuts while gutting Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, claiming fake fraud. So the love scam becomes a financial scam, right? This is a transition. All of these love scammers eventually make it into a financial scam. It never remains just about the love. The love scam, which makes it unique to like a Bernie Madoff or any of those other scams. This guy who did Nicola, who Trump just recently pardoned. A financial scam. They don't start financially. They start with the love, the wound that is missing. And then it eventually moves. Once your defenses are down, they've gotten into your lives, then it becomes a financial scam. They start taking you for all your money. So, once Dion's got her hooks into Graham, it cannot be made to see something is wrong. He is paying for everything and she's not. He's being bled dry financially by Dion. Graham is being told the money is coming out. The money is coming. This is Dion is telling him. The money is coming, but it never comes. And yet he continues to trust. Similarly, in the U.S., Trump supporters can't be reached. They couldn't be reached during the election, nor are they being able to be reached today. Trump states are losing money. Farmers are going broke. Federal workforce is being hollowed out all over the country, including in states that Trump won. Consumer confidence is down. Unemployment is up. And yet, going back to Con Mom, Graham chooses the promise of what could be. A life with his mom, the money, over the good life he has with his partner and son. Eventually, he loses it all to Dion's lies, and she ups and leaves down and disappears, owing millions, thousands to Graham and millions to other investors, right? His partner also leaves by this time, right? She's had enough and she leaves, and she is trying to do her best to help Graham, but he's not able to listen to her. And she's doing a lot of research, discovering what's going on here, what this con mom is really about. But the promise of money, and I know in interviews he said it wasn't about the money, it was about his relationship with his mom. But, I don't know. I think that was the entry point, but eventually the money is what keeps you staying. Similarly for the Trump voter, for the American voter as well, they lose their homes, their businesses, their health care. They believe in the promise of Trump. You still have people who are still willing to trust Trump, that he's going to make it okay. Things are going to come together. Trump is going to make it happen. We just need to wait. We just need time. Trump is saying that. Just give me some time. Just need a little bit of time. I've only been in office for 10 weeks. Just give me a little bit of time. The tariffs are going to start kicking in, and we're going to start having all of these millions coming to us. Just give us a little bit more time. A Trump supporter and his Venezuelan wife returning from the U.S. from a honeymoon. His wife was detained by ICE. As far as I know, she's still in jail. He's back here, white guy, Trump supporter, and she's in jail. And he still doesn't regret voting for Trump. So my final thoughts on this video, going a little bit longer than I thought, but I think it's important. I believe the Trump voter, the majority of the United States, is in a love scam. Much like Graham, they did not see it coming. Who could lie like that? Who could do such a thing to their supporter? Who could con their own child? The destructive nature of the scam is far-reaching. Graham is broke by the end of the movie, and he and his partner are no more. Another spoiler alert, he hasn't seen his son since the son was born. He can't afford to. He's broke. He can't afford a ticket, I suppose, to go to New Zealand, where his wife, who's originally from New Zealand, where she lives. He can't afford to go see his own child. This is a man who was abused by his father, who is now, unfortunately, not there for his son during the most formative years of his life. It's a tragic story. The destructive nature of the scam is far-reaching. He's broke by the end of the movie, and his partner's no more. But the scam is over, and he is woke to the scam. That word is there specifically. He's woke to the scam. In the Netflix docs, the scammer calls and apologizes, but Graham clearly doesn't believe her. Why would he? But Graham is free of the scam. America is not. For the American, nothing short of democracy, liberty, and freedom is on the line, and we are in the second act. The turning point has yet to come. People appear to be waking up. April 1st in Wisconsin, the Supreme Court election is a chance to see if that is true. There are also special elections all over the country, governor's races in Virginia and New Jersey later this year. Republicans appear to be worried as Elise Stefanik, a New York congresswoman in a reliably safe district, has decided not to be the UN ambassador and to remain in the U.S. House. Many believe internal polling was looking bad for the Republicans to retain that seat. Like the movie, unfortunately, the damage Trump administration and conservatives are doing is going to leave permanent damage. The demeaning way the administration treats Canada and Mexico is reprehensible and will not be forgotten. And the dismissive way it's been treating our allies in Europe has caused a number of countries, France and Germany principally, to look away from the USA. So what we see and what happens after the scam is far-reaching. The devastation lasts for forever. For Graham in the movie, he's going to never forget what was done to him by his mom or by this woman, Dion. For the world and for America, our allies are never going to forget this, I don't think. And the era of American dominance in the world is going to be over. Whether we survive, what America looks like after this is going to be forever changed. The greatest generation is probably rolling over in its grave. And it truly, truly is a sad story. But unfortunately, this is the nature of the love scam. Thank you for joining me on today's show. You'll see me on the next one. Take care, everyone. Hey there, fantastic viewers. Eric Darnley Small here, and I hope you're loving today's episode of What You Missed. You've reached the end of today's show, but don't worry, there's more show coming up. If you're watching this on YouTube, please click the bell so that you'll be notified when more content is available. You can also help the channel by clicking the like and subscribe buttons. It helps the YouTube algorithm find new viewers so that I can keep bringing you all this incredible content you enjoy. But wait, there are more ways to support the show. You can make a contribution through the show's PayPal, which goes a long way in helping produce even better content for you. And consider becoming a part of our growing community by joining our Mastodon site at mastodon.vtip.me/@whatyoumissed for more engaging discussions and exclusive updates. And here's something you won't want to miss. Mark your calendars for our live show streaming on YouTube and stream.vtip.me Monday mornings, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Your support means the world to me, and together we're making What You Missed the best it can be. Thanks for being a part of my journey.